The terrace at Ocean View Country Club overlooked pristine beaches as I arranged tropical flowers in elegant vases, preparing for my younger brother Marcus's medical school graduation party. 200 family members and friends had gathered to celebrate at what everyone considered the most exclusive venue on the coast. I wore a simple navy catering uniform, moving quietly between tables while conversations about residency programs and surgical specialties filled the salt air. "Alexis, stop fussing with decorations like hired help and come celebrate your brother's achievement," my stepmother Diane called out, adjusting her designer cocktail dress. She'd never understood why her stepdaughter chose event work, when the Jackson family had built a legacy of medical and legal excellence spanning 3 generations. I continued positioning centerpieces with methodical precision, ensuring each bird of paradise bloom caught the afternoon sunlight perfectly. The exotic flowers had been flown in from Hawaii that morning, their vibrant colors complementing the ocean view beyond. "Just making sure everything looks perfect for Marcus's big day," I replied quietly. My father, Dr. Richard Jackson, loosened his silk tie while greeting colleagues from the hospital. At 59, he commanded respect as chief of surgery at the region's premier medical center, his innovations in cardiac procedures saving thousands of lives over his career. "That's exactly the issue, daughter. You're 29 years old, still thinking like support staff instead of family leadership." The comment drew approving nods from my sister Victoria, a successful prosecutor, and my brother-in-law Thomas, who'd recently been promoted to partner at his corporate law firm. They'd both embraced the Jackson tradition of professional distinction, while I'd apparently chosen a completely different path. "Some people discover their natural ceiling early," my Uncle Paul observed, sipping the signature cocktail I'd helped design for the celebration. "Nothing shameful about recognizing your practical limitations in life." My cousin Jennifer, a prominent pediatric surgeon, nodded thoughtfully. "At least she's consistently working instead of expecting family financial support. Better to contribute according to your abilities than not at all." I methodically polished crystal stemware with practiced efficiency, each glass reflecting the club's sophisticated lighting system perfectly. My phone buzzed with a text from my chief financial officer. "Bahamas resort acquisition approved by regulators. Board wants timeline for Mediterranean expansion. Private island development needs immediate authorization." "You know what Alexis's fundamental problem is?" Diane announced to the gathered relatives with authority. "No vision for meaningful achievement. She's content being invisible, serving successful people instead of joining their professional ranks." My Aunt Margaret raised her champagne flute in agreement. "Precisely correct. Look around this club, Alexis. Ocean View represents the pinnacle of coastal luxury. Membership here costs more than most people's annual salary." The Ocean View Country Club sparkled around us, its Mediterranean architecture featuring hand-carved stone, imported tile work and museum-quality artwork. Every detail reflected the kind of refined elegance that required both substantial investment and impeccable taste to achieve properly. "The operational standards here are extraordinary," commented Marcus's new girlfriend's father, surveying the immaculate surroundings. "You can tell this property has serious institutional backing. Probably some resort conglomerate or hospitality investment fund. Individual ownership of facilities like this requires generational wealth." "Definitely corporate structure," agreed Dr. Williams, a successful orthopedic surgeon who'd known our family for decades. "This level of luxury demands hundreds of millions in development capital. The daily maintenance costs alone probably exceed most people's annual income." I continued working silently, ensuring every aspect of Marcus's graduation celebration would meet the standards I'd established when I acquired the property 5 years ago. The custom lighting system, restored architectural details, and precisely curated art collection had required 3 years of careful renovation to achieve perfection. "Alexis should observe how real business operates," Richard suggested, gesturing around the magnificent clubhouse. "Maybe she could learn something about strategic management instead of working these hospitality positions downtown." "Speaking of which," Victoria addressed me directly while checking her Cartier watch, "how's the event planning developing?" "Still coordinating functions and managing catering operations. Resort management and guest experience design," I replied simply, adjusting the fresh orchid arrangements. "Same concept essentially, she dismissed with legal precision. Service work with elevated terminology. At least you're maintaining steady employment, which represents consistency. The conversation flowed around me as I moved efficiently through my responsibilities, invisible to my family despite working just feet away. They discussed medical procedures, legal precedents, real estate investments, the familiar soundtrack of their achievement-focused discussions while I ensured their afternoon remained flawless. You know what Alexis truly requires? Thomas announced with the confidence of someone who just earned a multi-million-dollar settlement. A realistic assessment of what genuine success represents. She's living in denial about the difference between serving luxury and creating it. Some people are natural hospitality workers, Paul nodded with certainty. Nothing wrong with accepting your role in the service economy. The tourism industry needs dedicated employees at every operational level. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my acquisitions director. Monaco property negotiations finalized. Shareholders unanimously approved Asian market entry. Also, Forbes cover story deadline moved to this afternoon. I silenced the device and continued working. The reality is, Margaret continued, Alexis could achieve more if she properly applied her intelligence. She has Jackson family genetics. She simply lacks the ambition to leverage them for significant professional success. Significant success requires significant sacrifice, Victoria added, swirling her aged wine thoughtfully. Law school was demanding, but examine the results. Prosecutor position, substantial income, access to venues like this. That's what happens when you refuse to accept mediocrity. Richard raised his crystal glass in a paternal toast. To Marcus's graduation from medical school, and to all of us who've worked diligently to earn our place at celebrations like this. May we never forget that true achievement comes to those who demand excellence from themselves. The family raised their glasses in harmony, the crystals singing softly as they touched together. I observed from my position at the service station, noting how the ocean breeze caught the premium spirits, how the baccarat crystal reflected the warm glow of the afternoon sun streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. And Alexis, Richard added with fatherly authority, perhaps someday you'll comprehend what it means to aspire beyond serving other people's accomplishments. The words lingered in the club's pristine coastal air as I arranged additional floral displays with mechanical precision. Each stem was positioned exactly, each color balanced perfectly. The expertise came from years of luxury hospitality experience, though my family interpreted it as evidence of my limited potential. She probably considers this impressive, Diane whispered audibly enough for me to hear. Working at an exclusive club, being around accomplished people. But there's a fundamental difference between serving excellence and achieving it. My personal assistant, Sarah Martinez, approached our gathering with professional urgency. Her movements reflected years of managing high-level executive schedules, understanding that timing and discretion were equally critical when serving ultra-high-net-worth clients across multiple time zones. Ms. Jackson, Sarah addressed me directly with respectful authority, interrupting the family conversation. I apologize for the intrusion, but your resort chain's acquisition has just closed. The $4.7 billion transaction requires your immediate signature. The revelation struck the gathering like a perfectly timed tsunami, washing away everything they believed about success, achievement, and their own daughter's position in the business world. Diane's champagne glass trembled in her manicured hand, the bubbles suddenly still and lifeless. Sarah continued, unaware of the family dynamics exploding around her. Also, the board of directors for Jackson Resort International is assembled for the emergency session regarding the Mediterranean expansion. They're waiting for the CEO's approval on the Greek islands development project. I stopped arranging the tropical flowers and straightened my catering uniform. What's the timeline for the board decision, Sarah? Immediate, Ms. Jackson. The $2.3 billion development requires authorization within the hour to meet regulatory deadlines. Also, Bloomberg wants a statement about becoming the youngest resort empire owner in hospitality history. Marcus dropped his graduation cap, the mortarboard hitting the marble floor with a sound that echoed through the suddenly silent terrace. His medical degree, which had seemed so impressive moments before, now appeared diminished by comparison to the business empire his sister had built. $4.7 billion? Paul whispered, his voice barely audible above the ocean waves below. Jackson Resort International operates 23 luxury properties across 6 continents, Sarah confirmed professionally, with aggressive expansion into emerging markets. Ms. Jackson has revolutionized the ultra-luxury resort experience while maintaining the personal attention that distinguishes each destination. Victoria's prosecutorial confidence evaporated as she processed the magnitude of what she'd just learned. Her recent courtroom victories suddenly seemed insignificant compared to building and operating an international resort empire before age 30. I should mention, I said calmly to Sarah, that today's celebration is my brother Marcus's medical school graduation. We're demonstrating our commitment to creating extraordinary family experiences. Congratulations to Dr. Jackson, Sarah smiled warmly. Family achievements should always be celebrated at our finest properties. Richard had become completely speechless, his surgical precision somehow inadequate for processing that his daughter had constructed a global hospitality empire while the family criticized her supposed lack of professional ambition. Ms. Jackson, Sarah continued, the Wall Street Journal wants an exclusive interview about your acquisition strategy. The $4.7 billion purchase makes this the largest resort chain transaction in industry history. My phone buzzed with notifications from my board of directors, my legal team, my regional managers across multiple continents. The resort empire I'd built while my family assumed I was just doing events required constant strategic oversight and executive decision-making. Jennifer's medical expertise felt suddenly inadequate as she grasped the scale of her cousin's achievement. 23 properties? Across 6 continents. With 3 more acquisitions pending, Sarah confirmed. The Jackson Resort International portfolio now represents the fastest-growing luxury hospitality empire in the world. The laughter that had filled the terrace moments before had stopped completely, replaced by stunned silence as my family processed the reality of who had been serving their celebration. The same ocean breeze continued to blow, the same afternoon sun continued to shine, and the same luxury surrounded them as before. If you'll excuse me, I said to my family, I have a $2.3 billion development project that requires immediate CO approval. Sarah will ensure Marcus's graduation celebration continues perfectly. As I walked toward the club's executive conference room, I heard Richard whisper urgently to Diane, "How long has she been building this? How did we completely miss a $4.7 billion empire?" The answer naturally was 7 years. 7 years during which they'd been too busy explaining my limitations to recognize my achievements, too confident in their assumptions to question their understanding, too focused on traditional professional metrics to notice excellence that didn't conform to their expectations. Marcus's graduation celebration would continue on the beautiful terrace, but the family dynamic had fundamentally transformed. The same crystal would catch the same light, the same ocean would provide the same backdrop, and the same luxury would surround them as before.